Something happened to my audio microphone. Hmm? Okay. Hold on. Wrong audio. That's the problem. Okay. I need a minute. That audio is not going to work out. I'm going to go to a different headset. I know, but once I turn on a torch, it's not going to work. So, because something happened. So we had a power outage last week since I was gone, and things sort of fell apart here. So, including the freezer, sort of fell apart. And let's see, microphone. Oh, there it goes. It's up. Click OK. Can you hear me? I think we're back. Okay. Again, so last week we lost power here because of the big storm. And so we actually lost power to the freezer and had to remove everything out of the freezer. Actually, I didn't. Andy did. And it looks like everything here needed a minute to all come back together. Phew. Okay, we are up and running. Thanks for joining us. Today is UFO Wednesday. Thanks everyone who joined us on Monday. And I just wanted to give Linda a little shout out here really quickly. I know she sent a message the other day to say hi to Ken, and I forgot to say it on camera, but I did tell him afterwards that you said hi. So I didn't ignore you, not completely anyway. Okay, wait. Why is this so far off? Everything's off today. Anyway, I'm trying to get centered. All right. I think we're good. Okay, sound check. Sound check is good. Everybody's good. Okay, thanks for coming in. What are we doing today? You know, today's project is Pam's project, and Pam bought this piece. This is a really nice piece of opal. Like, it's in person, this is an amazing piece. And she actually purchased this from Tucson when we were in Tucson in 2020, right before the shutdown. And she saw this. I'll tell a quick story. She saw this at the first show that we went to and was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Kept thinking about it. So, when you can't let something go, you probably should get it, because if you're not going to these places, annually, then you don't want to miss the opportunity. So anyway, so we came back a couple days later, and lo and behold, the piece was still there, so she had to have it. It has been in her bin. We all have these bins, with these little pieces that we bought at some point but haven't done anything with. And with the UFO thing, she said, yeah, okay, I'll send it to you and see what you come up with. And quite frankly, I've had this for about 6 weeks, if not more, and I have been racking my brain around this piece for a while, and I just haven't been able to figure out what I wanted to do. Well, you know what? I work best under pressure. So this morning, literally this morning, I've been thinking about it. I still didn't have quite an answer for myself, but I did finally decide that what I want to do is I want to go ahead and create some sort of a prong setting on this. And I want to walk through a little bit what my thought process was. And, I'm trying to use up what I have here, as this is what I'm encouraging people to do with the UFOs too, is, finish up your projects, and so that you can move on, and so you don't have an anchor or anything weighting you down to, to move forward. So as I'm looking around and trying to use the scrap material that I have that's still good, I decided that, okay, we're going to do a prong, but I knew I did not want to do it on a back plate, because it was just almost too expected. I wanted something a little bit more interesting. So then I thought, oh, what I can do is I can take out some square wire, perhaps, and make some sort of a frame about the same shape. And I have a somewhat flat area on the backside. And I wanted to make a frame, and then I was going to build prongs around it. So that was a thought. And I was looking around for some square wire. That was sort of a challenge because I seem to be very short on square wire right now. But and this is what's great, is when you have scrap running around, you might just have enough for a project. And for a project this small, I do have enough using my scrap. But then I also found this ring. This is probably 12 gauge wire that I was thinking, oh, well, if I didn't find my square wire, what I would do is go ahead and anneal this because it's already been bent once. If I wanted to bend easily, I would have annealed this, and I would have just taken a chasing hammer on a bench block and flattened it a little bit, and that would give me like that square flat look that I was looking for, because I really didn't want to use round wire, but I also wanted it to be a little bit heavier. I didn't want it to be too delicate. So that was a thought until I found this piece of scrap. So I'm sort of sticking with that. And then as I was looking through my scrap, I came across these pieces. I know, why do I have a whole bunch of textured moon shapes? Well, I can't say that I have a whole bunch of textured moon shapes on purpose. What I was making is I was actually cutting ovals like this out of part of a circle. So you can imagine the rest of the circle was here, right? The rest of the disc was here, and I punched this out, and I was using those ovals. And this was my scrap material, and I left it there because, I don't know, I looked at it and I kept seeing moons, and I was like, oh, I'm sure I'm going to be able to use it at some point, and not clear when. And I think this is my opportunity to put these to use. So they have sort of a wave texture to them, and I thought that this would be really nice. And actually, I don't want this piece. So I was able to match up two pieces that were the same. And what I'm thinking for today's project is I'm going to go ahead and solder these two together to create not a round, because again, round is almost too expected for me, but I didn't feel that round would work well for this piece. I wanted it to be elongated. And what's nice too, I was thinking, was that there's going to be an open back. And you don't lose much of the stone, and you can see it from both sides, and it's that peekaboo thing that I like a lot, and it just adds a little bit of unexpected to the piece. So and I think this is where we're going, and I see Pam's watching, so she can give input along the way, and Andy can give me input too. Oh, so by the way, the puppy did come home, and we did decide not to have him on camera today because he is a wild one. So until I figure out until I puppy-proof the studio and figure out how to handle him down here during a live, we're like, nah, I'm glad I didn't because we had an audio problem today. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking, all right? And then my next thought was, what am I going to do for a bail? Because, first thought always is, just put a jump ring on there. Okay, that's nice, that's easy. That's straightforward, or a couple of jump rings, that kind of thing, something simple. But I really wanted more to this piece because this piece was so expensive. I'm telling you, it was like, wow, this was a very expensive piece. And I didn't think that a jump ring would really do it justice. So I looked around, and I started digging through all my scrap, and I found this. So this was a 20 gauge sheet metal that had been etched with a Celtic design, and I don't know why it was only why it was cut this way. Maybe it was something that I was designing. I can't even remember. But I was thinking, oh, how cool if I straighten this out, center it, then if I bend it over, it would make a really nice decorative bail. So I'm thinking that's where I'm going with it. Again, until I hear objection from Pam, I'm going to keep moving forward. So that's my thought. Okay, so first things first, let's get these pieces soldered together. And funny, I still have have the leftover from the UFO last time that I didn't put away from Kim's UFO. So the dog was named Titus. He's a Maltipoo, and I have not posted any pictures of him yet. I will soon, I promise. And it's been really busy. I got home yesterday. He did really well on a 6-hour trip. He slept most of the way. He played a little bit, and somewhere in there, I stopped 3 times because I just didn't want him to, have an accident in the car. So he gave me a huge scream at one point, and I thought, oh no, he needs to go pee. Went right into the emergency parking, and he didn't do a thing. It is what it is. But anyway, so I'm happy to report that it was a very smooth ride. He didn't get car sick or anything, which is so great. I don't know why, but that was something that really worried me for the trip. So we survived that. It's not to say he hasn't had accidents since he's been here, but we're working on it. He's getting to know the lay of the land. All right, so first things first, we're going to go ahead and solder these down. And because this is not level, I'm going to go ahead and put this piece under it here and help that level out. All right. Actually, how close do I want this together? I don't want to see a hole on that from the front. So I'm going to push this a little closer together. I want to see how close I want that. Okay. So pretty overlap like so. We'll start with some hard solder as we do. Fickle pieces. Titus is also a Maltipoo. We actually named him Titus Fury, and it's funny because we named him before we met him, and I guess it's self-foreseeing prophecy because he is one very active. What would you say, honey? What? Fearless little puppy. He loves to climb and he loves heights. He doesn't like coming down, but we're not going to let him we're not going to let him just climb and not have to come down by himself. He's got to figure it out. But he's smart and he's been able to figure out how to get back down. Okay, so here what I do is I added this piece just to raise it a little bit because it's a little bit off kilter. Okay. I wish you would just stop. Oh, you know what? There it is. All right, and we're using a little hard solder. All pieces, are sterling silver. Oh, jeez. I'm having a hard time today with as always, it always takes a minute to get, I don't know why, but it always takes a minute to get my torch going. You would think I've not done this before. Let me bleed this line a little bit. You just don't want to play today, do you? Oh, jeez. Okay, heat it up. Gonna heat the whole thing. Get nice and warm. It does not take as long as a butane torch. I'm using my Gentech today. Do it? I think you did. Okay, nice. We'll go ahead and trim that. out some shears. I use my curved shears today since we are sort of cutting a curve here. And I'm just going to trim that off so we don't have any sharp points. I could have used my nippers, but we're going with this. File this a little bit as I feel some sharp edges here. It doesn't feel like it's together. I'm going to give it a little squeeze here. Better. So I was teaching at Tuscarora Lapidary this weekend, and you know what's interesting is, oh, you did not solder. Okay. All right, we'll put that in there. What I discovered while I was teaching there is the one tool that I miss so much, believe it or not, is my sandpaper on a tongue depressor. I was like, oh my gosh, this could go so much faster if it was on a board or something. So there's something, if you don't have it in your arsenal, grab a tongue depressor or a popsicle stick and wrap some glue some sandpaper on it. A lot of people use paint sticks, but I find it to be way too big. It's a thing. Okay, let's come back out. Let's go ahead and solder this again. I'm getting the feeling it's going to be one of those Mondays. Oh, it's Wednesday. Okay, so much for that. Wow. Yeah, great. Just going to put a little more solder on each side here. This time I'm lining it up more perfectly because obviously I've already soldered there, and I want to make sure that, well, then I don't have to file and cut as much. Okay. Heat the whole thing. There we go. There we go. Okay. Alright, let's check it again this time. Oh, definitely on. Yay! Put that in there. While it is in there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this down because it's slightly off. So you can see it's slightly off center. So, let's see, do I have my handy dandy divider? Oops. Aha, it's crooked. You see there's more space here than here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to run over to my bench shear. I'm going to cheat. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm not going to say, I'm going to take it back. It's not cheating. I have tools. I'm going to use it. But if you don't have shears, you're going to take out your your bench shear. If you don't have a bench shear, you should take out your bezel shear and cut your metal. If you're making something like this, it's pretty simple. We'll go ahead and file that a little bit. Got a little bit of a sharp edge here. So we're just doing that, and then I know this piece has been sitting here for a while, so it's pretty hard. So we'll go ahead and anneal it just a little bit. So annealing's process of just heating the metal to open up those molecules to make it more malleable. Right? Right. Everybody say it. Right. Okay. Quench that. So now I'm going to trim it with my shears. Just a little bit. I want a little bit of a taper instead of a straight bail. So Kathy says she's looking for a good shear. Are you looking for a good bench shear, or are you looking for a bezel shear? I'm assuming you're saying bench shear, because bench shears are a little bit more. But if you're looking for a guillotine, reach out to me and I can direct you. I can special order one in for you. I think they're like 150. It's the same one I'm using. Let's see. Sorry, honey. So a bench shear, yeah. They can get pretty costly. You know what I really want is I want a, I don't have a guillotine, I'm sorry. I don't know what they're called, but I really want a guillotine. The guillotine ones are about $1,200. Haven't quite justified it yet. As you can see, I sort of taper at the one end, and then I'm going to bend this over. Let's see, we'll go ahead and use, I haven't unloaded my, I haven't unloaded my tools from this weekend yet, so I'm going to use the tools I have. So this is a bail making plier. And this is a really hard piece of metal. So I'm going to bend it a little bit, get it going, and see if I can get it to come over like so. Yep. There it is. Okay. All right. And now we're going to just go ahead and I'm trimming it after the fact because I didn't know if it was going to be long enough or big enough for me. So, yeah. Actually, let's see. Is it too big? No, it's a good size. Okay. So again, it's nice to have these little pieces of scrap to sort of play with. And another thing too is, just in case Pam doesn't like this, she can totally undo this piece. It's not going to be very hard to undo. So hopefully she'll like it. Or if later on she decides that she found a inspiration for something that she likes better, you know, it's not necessarily that you don't like it. Maybe, you know, you outgrow some of your designs sometimes, and you just go, what am I going to do with that? You know, it's funny because like this, I happen to have this on my bench. I was looking at a bunch of stuff the other day, and I was like, okay, it's time to scrap it. Let it go already. I made this 15 years ago when we first started, right? 15, 17 years ago when we first started, and I loved it, and everybody loved it, and they thought it was so great. Now I'm looking at it going, ugh, I made that? And then at some point I upgraded it and made it a little bit better. So you can see the typefaces are a little bit nicer, and at the time this was when we went to shows, these were all the different typefaces that we had, and I thought that was a lot of fun. And again, here we are 15 years later, I'm like, ugh, what was that? Ugh. So anyway, the things that happen over time. Okay, so now that this has been bent and whatnot, I am going to take the time to really sand this because I want the edges to be really nice and smooth to make it wearable. I don't like these really sharp corners here either, so I'm going to round them just a little bit. I think it makes it a little tiny bit more feminine. You know, another thing I had considered doing was I had considered using gallery wire. And I wanted to talk about that for a second because, gallery wire really would have been an easy approach to this. All you would have had to do was make a back plate and then shape your gallery wire around the stone, solder it down, and then push it over. It's really almost brain dead to use gallery wire. And I do find that a lot of times people use gallery wire a little too often because it was an easy way out. So I honestly chose not to do that because I wanted a different look. B, I wanted to stretch my my designing skills and my technical skills to see what I could actually come up with that would work. Okay, so this is feeling really good. Almost there. I'll put this in the pickle in a minute here. I just want to get it all done. Okay, so now that it is like that, I'm going to go ahead and push it all the way over so that it comes together. Because we're making a bail. There we go. Make sure it's nice and straight. We are good to go. All right, I'm going to stick this in the pickle too. Let's pull the other piece out. All right, nice, very nice. There's a tiny little bit of solder right here. I'm gonna go ahead and try to just sand that off just a little bit. People always ask me what they can do about solder that has bled. Answer is sand it. There's really not much you can do if it has bled in the wrong place other than to sand it to fix it, right? If you have different wheels on your flex shaft, that might be helpful. Okay, a little better. All right, let's check. So now the question is, do we want to put the prongs on first, or do we want to put the bail on first? Because the thing is, if you put the bail on, this becomes a little crooked and a little lopsided. It's really hard to get something to solder on easily or evenly, but depending on what soldering technique you use. But for me, I'm going to freehand it, and I'm just going to hold it with my fire tweezers and solder right there. So it doesn't really matter to me where the bail is and how even or uneven this is. Okay, I have, let's see, I wonder if the bail is going to cover up that solder anyway. How do I feel about solder blocker? I really don't have a feeling about it. I don't use it. So I know that people talk about using liquid paper, and a note here for people who have been taught to use liquid paper is be careful. It is toxic when you burn it. So something to think about. So solder blocker, I know that you can use like yellow ochre as a solder blocker of sorts, and it's a little bit more natural. I think I have some, but I don't know why, I just never use it. Could be laziness. So there we are. I think it's a little crooked. So for me, I'm going to choose to go ahead and put the bail on first because it's going to take a lot more heat, and I don't want the heat to heat it so much that I undo the prongs. Okay. But I also know it's not on particularly tight here. So we're going to squeeze that down just a little bit more. Pliers. There we go. So yeah, of course I squeeze it down just a little bit more and it's too tight. But I prefer it to be too tight than not tight enough. Okay. it is. All right, we'll put a little bit of medium solder on the inside of this. It's easier to just to place it just like so, just right on top. And you want it on both sides because you want both front and back to be soldered. And it is so tight that it's not going to fall when I heat it. So I'm just going to hold it like this. I'm going to heat it this way. Okay. So I'm just right now checking, make sure that it's straight to my liking. Straight is in the eye of the beholder. Really is. Okay, we're going to heat the whole thing. And we're going to heat this bail. And then we're going to heat right in there. See how quickly I'm sort of doing this? Everything's got to get happy hot the same. There we go, almost. Did it do it? Good tug. You know, it's funny when I in class and I tell people, did you check it? They're like, oh yeah, I checked it. No, you gotta really check it and make sure it is on. It's not gonna break because you really just don't want it breaking when you're not watching. It's a thing. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna put it on here, and then actually I'm gonna dry this first. I'm gonna mark where I want my prongs. See? Put one here. Sorry about my head here. I can't see what I'm doing. Okay. I wanted to make sure that I couldn't see the hole at the top because I was really trying not to see that back hole. And I know I want one here, and we'll put another one here just for balance. Let's see how that works. Okay. And I'm using square wire today because it gives a certain look that I'm looking for. Okay. So we'll go ahead and trim this really nice and flush for soldering. And then I'm going to cut this in half. See. Let's measure and make sure this is half is going to be good. Yeah. The calf's going to be good. Okay. So we'll do this first one here. And I'm going to go ahead and dip it in a little bit of easy solder. And then I want the flat side, not a corner, to face my stone. You know what? Triangle wire. Yeah, I see the comment that triangle wire would be good too. Yeah, triangle wire actually would have been really nice on this. You know, I typically use half round wire, but I was looking for a different look this time. So that's why I'm choosing square wire. But on this one, so I'll say this, if I screw this up, I'm out of the square wire, but I have triangle wire, that'll go next, so hopefully it won't screw it up. Okay, so let's see how flat this is. Not that flat. Okay, let's flatten that. Do I still see my mark over there? Yeah, I see the mark. So what's great is using this Gentech to do this kind of work is fantastic. Because see, I can just heat basically right there and it'll be fine. It goes that fast. Just like so. Okay, I'm going to quench that and just double check. I'm going to put one of my marks back in because it disappeared with the oh, I can't think, I'm sorry, with the heating. Okay, there we are. I was going this direction, wasn't I? What was my flat side? Oh, nope. There it is. There it is. Cool. It works. It's nice and tight. Okay. I accidentally marked the stone, but that will come off. No big deal. How's it going to come off? Oh yeah, let's see. Little teeny bit. Probably a Pro Polish pad. Why not? Available at theurbanbeater.com. By the way, all the tools that you see here are available at theurbanbeater.com. So it's one way to show your support with what we're doing. Hopefully you are enjoying watching these series. I met a couple people over the weekend who have been following along, and it's always nice to get some feedback. And it was interesting talking to my students this weekend, and they were saying that, oh yeah, I've been following the UFO in particular because it's just sort of interesting to see the progress and the progression of the project, which is so cool because that's sort of what I was looking for when I came up with this concept. Is I wanted people to understand the process that I'm going through to create my other projects. Okay, that's enough there. You know what? So this piece is a little wonky. Actually, before I cut it, I'm going to go ahead and flatten it out. It'll make life easier. When you have a larger piece, it's much easier to straighten out than a little piece because it becomes a little rigid, right, when it's really small. It doesn't have to be crazy straight because of what I'm doing with it in the end. So, but I would like it to be a little bit straight. Well, see, there's another person. Kathy says she's learned so much from these. So that makes me really happy. I'm so glad. A cat called Pippin. So, a cat called Pippin had been enjoying the UFOs too. Who's the cat called Pippin? Do I know you? I don't know the cat, but maybe I do. I don't know. Okay. Let's go ahead and trim this piece. Let's pull this up. Let's go ahead and solder this. Okay. I've gone to easy solder at this point if I didn't already point that out. And again, what's really nice about having a torch this small is I don't have to worry about any of the other prongs falling over because everything's gotten hot or melting. So this is like almost a guarantee for me. It makes life so much easier. You know, this torch, I can even solder a jump ring onto a box chain. Yep, I said it, a box chain. Not easy. Still takes practice. It's not like you can just jump into this stuff. Okay? You still need a little bit of practice. Okay, so I'm not pickling in between. As you can see, my silver is still clean, so I don't have to pickle. Oh, okay, my solder won't stick. So I'm going to heat it just a little bit, and hopefully, yep, it'll stick a lot better. There we go. And so question is, do we have the Gentech available through the urbanbeater.com? Yes, we do. And you know, the Gentech that we have, by the way, has the attachment for the disposable propane cells, propane and oxygen cells, because you do need to have oxygen to be able to do this kind of work. So, and you can get those cells at Home Depot or Lowe's or your local hardware. Understand though, just a note, is a lot of these oxygen cells, believe it or not, they're already empty on the shelf. So when you get it and nothing's coming out, it's not the torch. We tested this recently, and sure enough, it was the oxygen tank itself. So be careful with that, okay? And you know what? If you get one of those, just take it back and tell them. And if I were you, do the community a favor and put a big X on it so that they don't put it back on their shelves. I swear they put it back on the shelves if if nobody tells them or if they're lazy about it. Because I've come across quite a few that were empty. So it's really bad when you are going out to a show in another state and in a somewhat remote area. You stop at the hardware store, and you buy your fuel and your oxygen, and you get to the event and it doesn't work because it's empty. It's really awful. Painful. Painful, I say. Okay, here we are. Okay. Let's see, does it fit? Does it fit? Please fit. Dear Lord, did I do... I was guessing on this one, I have to say, when I put it down. Okay, let's see. Maybe we move it out just a hair. Again, if your solder joints are really good, you can just bend it just a little bit. But if you didn't solder it well, you're sort of screwed. It's a thing. Okay. Little tight. Okay, I feel like the reason why this doesn't want to go down is this one. You need a little bit less of it. We'll go ahead and cut it. Okay, it's too tight. It doesn't want to, you see, it doesn't want to go all the way down the way I want it to go. So I'm going to go ahead and move it because I don't want to bend it too much. Okay. Actually, did I do this upside down? Hold on. I think maybe I did it upside down. Just going to, no, it's not. Because, it would be bad if I did it upside down. No, it goes the other way. Okay, so here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this prong over just a hair. I'm going to move it out just a little bit. It's not going to be fun, but it's very doable. Okay. I need something to weight it down, to hold it down. So I'm just going to hold it down with a pair of pliers. Actually, maybe. So at this point, you got to figure out what you can hold it down with so that when you go to move it, the whole thing doesn't move with you. So how about a honeycomb block? Might be better. It'll secure it in place. so. Okay. No. Wait. No. Wait. Where was that? It was... No, fatter end's at the bottom because I made this mark here by accident, and that was the right one. So we're just going to move this out just a little bit. I need another pin in here. Okay. See, so now it's sort of in place, right? So you want to do whatever you need to do to get it to pin in place. And the reason why I have it hanging off of here is because I didn't want it to be wonky this way. Okay, we'll put a little bit of flux on there. And we're just going to gently move this while we are reverse soldering. Oh, so much for that gentle moving. Yeeks! All right, we're just going to put it right back on. Be careful where you point that torch because you don't want to melt everything else while you're at it. There we are. Oh, good. Okay, so I moved that over literally like a millimeter. Maybe 2, but I think it was more like 1. Let's check it. There it is. Still not fitting. Okay, maybe Pam was right. Let me go back up. Let me turn it around, see what I did. No. But it could. No likey. No, I want it this flat. It's not flat. There it is. Oh, okay. You just need a little playing. There it is. Mostly flat. Okay. That makes me happy. I'm going to throw this in the pickle without the stone. I'm going to put the stone down the orientation that I want it. We're going to trim the, what are we doing? Oh, we're trimming the prongs. We'll file it and then we'll set it just a little bit. Okay, and I realized I left a tool upstairs. Hold on, I'll be right back while we're pickling. So this is what happens when you're making designs that are fluid and you don't know where you're going with it. You're not prepared with all the tools that you have, but at least I have them, and that's what makes it really nice. That I don't have to wait to order them, but then it's also nice that, we're tool distributors. I have everything. Almost, except solder. What are we doing? Solder blocker. Okay. So now I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up around those solder joints. I'm using my little teeny weeny scratch brush with the brass on it. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead, before I do anything else, I'm going to go ahead and oxidize this because I want this to be, I want a little more definition in it, and I don't want to put it on my stone. Because, you know, opals are a bit soft, and I don't know what's going to happen if we put acid on it. So you want to be careful with that. So this is Black Max. This is a product I like to use most on my silver. Actually, it's the only product I use on my silver because it just works so quickly, as you can see. As well as it works, that means it's not nice in that, you know, I store it away from everything because even though it's in a HDPE container like this, I put it into a Tupperware and I store it away from my tools because it'll still bleed out into the, I say leach out to the tools around it and rust it. That's what it does. That's its job. Okay, so here we go. I love this part of the process because you can see there's a nice reveal. Actually, I'm going to go to something, not so scratchy this time. These are Pro Polish pads. They're really great for like metal stamping or doing polishing back like designs like this. You can see that it's starting to come back up. That does, I don't know, I say you can see that, maybe not. Get right in there. Oh yeah. Nice. Okay, I won't be able to get in here, so this is going to be a great way to go. There we go. Nice. Go to the middle a little bit. Not a ton, no one's going to see it. I'm really more concerned about the outside part. Okay, I feel like I took too much off of the bail because there's not much definition here. So, you know, I'm going to actually do this again in that I'm going to blacken it one more time. And I know a lot of people who like to use a Sharpie. I don't. It's a thing. See? You can just barely see the design. So I'm going to hit it one more time because I feel like when I used the scratch brush, I took too much off. Okay? Alright, and remember when you're using any kind of acid, you need to neutralize it with some water. Oh, I see Pam is happy with the design. Yay! Okay. Let's see if it does any better without the scratch brush. We're just going to do it with something. Yeah, I think that's just better. Okay. See, this is a little bit better. You have a little bit more definition than I had before. The scratch brush sort of got into those grooves more than I wanted to, taking out the oxidation. So again, you know, when you're working like this, it's okay to go for a second round. Do what needs to make it work. You just have to identify, be able to identify what went wrong. cleaning. Just cleaning. Okay. All right, so now we'll put the stone back in and then we'll trim it. I know you went in earlier. It's sort of funny how it doesn't want to go in this time. Again. I think it just has to find its groove. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. So here I'm going to trim it just above so that it goes over. And I'm also going to cut it at an angle to the outside. So. And I always pray that I don't cut it too short. It's like, yeeks. This one I'm not cutting at all. We're just going to cut the angle. There we are. Okay. All right. And I'm going to pull the stone out because I don't want to do any damage to it while I continue to do a little bit of sanding and filing. So I'm going to sand those edges off to make it nice, to remove any sharp edges. And you know, the other thing too, when you're doing this, sometimes the prongs break. It's a good thing. Why? Because you'll know it won't break later and that it's broken now so you can fix it, right? So I would say it's a good test. Okay. Yep, just message me later if you have if you're looking for a shear, we can talk. Okay, I'm just checking for sharpness right now. Okay, almost there. Just a little bit more. God, I feel like I'm talking to my puppy now. Oh. The puppy adventure begins. I feel like we just adopted our first child. It's sort of weird. Okay, this goes this way, this goes this way. Make sure everybody's in. We're not flat yet. Oops. Still not flat. Trying to find that sweet spot. There it is. It? No. It's a fickle little one. Okay, you're flat over there, but you're not flat on this side. What's up? Let me clean that off too while I'm at it. Come on. Sigh. We're almost there. We're like so close to that finish line. I flipped it the wrong way. Okay, there it is. Okay, come on. Let's see, it's up. We're not down flat quite yet. All right, so here I'm going to take out my prong setting pliers. And I'm going to see if, oops, and I'm going to see if I can get that over. Let's go out a little bit, a little too tight. again, you're going to use whatever tools that you need to get it to do what you want it to do. It doesn't want to bend. So, how are we going to fix this? I think we might have to saw it a little bit, but we'll see. Let's see if I can get it to come over. Nope. It's tight, but is it the tight I want it? I don't know. Okay, so every time I push on it, the stone is moving. But we are just past 2 o'clock, and I'm going to stop here, and we'll pick it up next week, and we'll finish it. We'll go through and figure out how we're going to adjust these prongs so that they come over a little bit more easily. We might need to anneal it, we might need to notch it, but it'll be a good lesson. And then we'll do a tiny little bit more finishing on it. But in the meantime, that is where we are on this project. So, thanks so much, everyone, for hanging out. I'm glad that, Pam, you are liking this design. And I am off to go learn how to groom this puppy because no groomer in the area, in the tri-state area, are taking new clients. So for anytime soon. So I'm off to learn how to do that. Woohoo! Like I said, new adventures of a puppy. That said, thank you everyone for joining us. Thanks for your continued support. And if you're watching this, do give us a little like. We are on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. I will see you. I'm taking puppy maturity on Friday, and I'll see you on Monday. I'm going to do the Paisley Project 2.0. And have a great rest of the week.